ladies and gentlemen, beware my power. Green Lantern's light. And it's your boy Icon with a DC HBO Max animated movie review. Something different, something special. I believe the last one we reviewed was Catwoman Haunted. And I was waiting for this one because, they did the announcement that they were doing a Jon Stewart-based Green Lantern project. I was excited about it. I was super hyped. I was ready to go. It's on HBO Max if you want to watch it right now. And then after everybody talked about it, they moved on to the Super Sons and we never spoke about this again. And then it appeared on HBO Max and then I finally had a chance to watch it. So now, this is interesting. This is very interesting because it starts off the way you would think it would start off. It has the whole thing with Jon Stewart. They show him in the hood, like a soldier returning from war. And he's having the PTSD and the flashbacks from being a part of war. He's trying to find himself in society. He's walking around the neighborhood, getting drunk, saving people from getting their ass beat, just doing heroic things. But the show still reminds you that despite all the good that he did for the United States, despite him being a soldier, and despite him being one of the most upstanding individuals on the planet, he's still black. So when he was saving someone from getting raped, robbed, or their ass beat, the cops showed up and arrested his black ass, and the actual criminals got away. Surprise, surprise. So then when they find out that, he actually has stripes and everything and that he actually served for the country, they let him go. So while they let him go, he's on his way home. And then that's when we get the typical classic Green Lantern scene of a spaceship falling out of the sky and crash lands on Earth. Jon Stewart goes to the ship. And then when he goes to the ship, he actually sees one of the members of the Green Lantern Corps, one of the Guardians from Oa. And the Guardian specifically said, he was like, "Jon Stewart, we've been looking for you. Welcome to the Corps." And then he turns to dust. And then the Green Lantern ring pops out. And it places itself on the Jon Stewart's ring. The ring places itself on Jon Stewart's finger. There are some changes that were made because I don't remember any iteration of a Green Lantern ring actually talking, but they treat the technology of the Green Lantern ring, they actually treat it like something that was built, like something that was created. And the AI from the ring was talking to Jon Stewart, telling him about the Green Lantern Corps, teaching him about the ring, but the ring also wouldn't come off for him. Now there's a sequence where he's going around, with the ring and he's trying to figure it out. And then he gets to a point where he's just like, you know what? He said, because he was in his mind, he was like, yo, I can't believe this shit is happening. So he justifies, he's just like, you know what? I'm just going to embrace this weirdness for a minute just so I can get some answers. So he tells the ring, he's like, "Ring, can you please take me to somebody that understands what the hell is happening and can help me?" And then the ring immediately takes him to the Justice League, takes him to the Watchtower. And when we get to the Watchtower, we got the Martian Manhunter, we got the Green Arrow, and we got Vixen. Yes. But unfortunately, Vixen wasn't in the movie past this opening sequence, which was kind of a downer. I would have liked to have seen Vixen actually be a part of the actual series because we ended up getting Hawkgirl in the thing too. And it would have been dope to have a scene with Vixen, Hawkgirl, and Jon Stewart Green Lantern. If you watch Justice League Unlimited series, you know why I said that. So then, he comes into the Watchtower and then they immediately attack him, the Justice League, right? They immediately attack him. And then when they realize he has the ring on and then they see the Green Lantern shirt, they're just like, "Oh, what are you doing with the ring? And where's Hal?" And then that's when the ring says that Hal Jordan is dead. And then Green Arrow gets all emotional. He's like, "No, Hal was my best friend." He starts crying and shit. They also revealed that the ring that Jon Stewart has, it's not like the Guardian just gave him his own Green Lantern ring. He said that the ring that Jon Stewart has was the ring that belonged to Hal Jordan. And I'm like, that's interesting. And then the ring said that Hal Jordan was dead. So we're now going to investigate the death of Hal Jordan. And Jon Stewart is just like, "Listen, I'm just going to help with the investigation so I can get this damn ring off my finger. And then once I get this ring off my finger, you can have it back. And then I'm sorry about your friend. And then we're going to go do this." So Green Arrow and Green Lantern together, they go out into outer space. They go to Oa to try to find out what happens. Here's where it got depressing. When they get to Oa, the entire Oa was destroyed. All the Green Lanterns were dead. I'm talking about some Justice League Apocalypse War type shit. They killed everybody. Kilowog, the fish-looking guy, the Guardians, they destroyed the planet. Everybody dead. We're assuming now Jon Stewart is the only Green Lantern left in the galaxy, in the Infinite Universe, because everybody dead. And while they're there and they're trying to figure out clues, they end up getting attacked by Hawkgirl. So there's a fight between Hawkgirl, Green Arrow, and John Stewart. And then after that fight calms down, they actually talk to Shayera. And then she said that she was here looking for answers because there was a war that's happening between like the Thanagarians and another group of people. Because just to skip to the story, basically what happened was there was like a teleportation beam that zapped Thanagar into the atmosphere of another planet. I think it was the Romanians or the Romanians or something like that. There's now two planets occupying the same space. And now that we have two planets occupying the same space, obviously like the ecosystem gets thrown off a whack. This caused war between both planets. While there was war between both planets, people were dying, people were fighting, babies were crying and everything. And it's just been an ongoing thing and an ongoing war. Hal Jordan actually tried to help with that. And he was basically like killed by Sinestro. Like that's what they said. They said he was killed by Sinestro in the battle because they were trying to help the Thanagarian. No, it was the other civilization. They were trying to help them build like this technology, but it ended up bringing the Thanagarians over. Now there's basically war. So, so Hawkgirl, John Stewart, and the Green Arrow, they're investigating further. They decide to be a team. They go to a specific planet. They find a guy who actually belongs to the opposing planet, like the Thanagarian rivals. And when we find this guy, he said that he got blasted off into space somewhere. He said that he kept bouncing back and forth through different time zones and like different places. And he ended up here by mistake. And then that's when they told him, they said that, well, both of our planets are at war. And then he was like, this can't be. He's like, let me talk to my generals. He called his generals. The generals was like, yes, we're at war and everything. And then the dude he was talking to sacrificed himself and flew his plane into a Thanagarian spaceship and blew everybody up. And then Shayera had the nerve to be like, that was a noble death for all parties involved. I'm like, bitch, what? Like a noble death. So they need answers. Like they're trying to seek answers. And in the midst of them like leaving the battlefield, like leaving the fight zone to go seek answers, they eventually bump into who we know. I mean, we all saw this coming. Like, I don't see this as a big surprise. Basically, like, the villain of the whole thing was Sinestro. Sinestro basically orchestrated the whole thing, and he's the reason why both planets are fighting. And Sinestro kidnapped everybody, and now he's just like, I'm gonna take over the planet because he's like, once that machine is built, I can destroy both planets and I can kill everybody. There was a funny moment where John Stewart was actually learning about the power ring, and then he finally got the ring off at one point. And then he ended up putting it back on during the Sinestro fight. And then that's when Ollie was like, I thought you didn't want the ring. He's like, motherfucker. He's like, I'm in space and we're getting blown at. We're getting shot at. He's like, things are blowing up. He said, I'm going to keep this thing on until we're safe. And then I'm going to give it back. But then the ring was running out of juice at one point. And then that's when Ollie gave him the battery, and he was like, you got to power the ring. And then he was like, how do I power the ring? And he said, you got to recite the oath. And then he told him, he's like, repeat after me. He recites the oath. And then when he does the oath, and when he does the beware my power, Green Lantern's light, and then the ring gets fully charged, John Stewart's like, what kind of hocus pocus nursery rhyme? Like, he's not feeling the oath. And I thought that was hilarious. Sinestro captures him, he captures Ollie, captures Hawkgirl, and captures the other guy. And the four of them are locked up. And when the prison that they're locked up in, the person who's in that prison with them happens to be Hal Jordan. Because I was like, okay, I knew Hal Jordan wasn't dead. Because you're not going to kill Hal Jordan. Like, why would you kill Hal Jordan? And then Hal Jordan said that when everybody thought Sinestro killed him, he actually like took him prisoner, and now he has him trapped here. And they were saying that Hal Jordan was like, I got to stop him. He was like, in order for me to stop him, he said, I've been digging a tunnel, like, through like the back of the prison so I can escape like through the underground or whatever, and I can get out. And when he said that, when he was just like, oh, I've been digging a tunnel, because there was a moment where they were all talking about the weapon and how the weapon's being used and this, that, and the third. And then Sinestro was ear hustling. He was just like, oh, thank you. Now I have the information I need to get the final components to get the weapon to kill both planets. And then I'm just like, if Sinestro was able to ear hustle him like that to the point where he knew what was happening and he could listen in on their conversations, how the hell did Hal Jordan dig a hole and nobody noticed? So I was like, that's a little suspect. And then he dug the hole, they escaped through the hole, and I'm just like, no, this is weird. Sinestro's not that dumb. There's no way Sinestro would not notice Hal Jordan digging a hole in the goddamn prison. And I was like, that didn't sit well with me, but then later on we find out why. So now that we're out, everybody's going to get their weapons back, and then, they had taken, Sinestro had taken the ring from Jon Stewart, and then, John had to get the ring back, and then he was just like, well, it's Hal's ring, and then he was like, no, John, the ring chose you, it's your show now. He said that if you want the ring, call to it. And then he called to the ring. He actually used the ring to bring like the mace and to bring like the bow and arrow set back to Hawk Girl and Green Arrow. I thought that was dope. And then when everybody got their weapons back, like they're fighting through and everything. And while they're fighting through, Hal is just going around just murdering and killing everybody. Like, he was just murdering soldiers. He was killing people. And then even Green Arrow, he was just like, bro, he was like, I thought we don't do that. And he said, look, they've been driving me a little crazy. I've been a prisoner for a while. He said, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And I'm just like, this is also weird. Not only is Hal Jordan legitimately killing people, but there's no way Sinestro would not notice him digging a hole in the back of a prison. So the plot thickens. Then we get to a moment where Jon Stewart ends up fighting Sinestro. And then while he was fighting him, John, because of his PSD due to war, he was trying very hard to not kill this man. And Sinestro put him in a position where he had no choice. He knocked the ring off his finger again. That's twice the ring got knocked off his hand. And then when Sinestro was going to use the yellow ring's power to kill Jon Stewart, John called the ring, and the ring went through Sinestro and ended up back on John's finger. And then that's when John was just like, I'm sorry, I didn't have a choice. And then Sinestro said to him, he was just like, oh, you're all going to pay when my master finally, gets his full power and, my master is going to kill you all. And then that's when it dawned on Jon Stewart. So then when they get to the point where they find like the weapon thingy, like the weapon that they need, Hal Jordan ended up murdering the person who was in charge of the weapon. And the reason why he murdered him is because Hal Jordan is now the villain of this movie. And that was a surprise to me. Like, I can't even affront, like, I was legitimately shocked by that but then it makes sense, like, with the behavior and everything. He said that when Sinestro had him down for the count and Sinestro took his ring, Sinestro took, like, some yellow scorpion thing and put it into Hal Jordan's mouth. And now that yellow scorpion thing, it took over his mind, and it's controlling Hal Jordan now, which is making Hal Jordan, like an evil person and doing all these evil things. So I'm like, okay, so he didn't really turn to the dark side. He's just being mind controlled somehow. So all we got to do is just get the scorpion thing out of his body and we'll get Hal Jordan back. But no, surprise, surprise, Hal Jordan ends up having a fight with Jon Stewart, and Hal Jordan even admitted he was the one that went to Oa and murdered the entire Green Lantern Corps. And every single Green Lantern that he killed, he took all of their rings because the man had 17 rings on both of his hands. And he used all that power to turn himself into like Ultra Lantern. And for some reason, despite him having the power of like 59 Green Lanterns, Jon Stewart was still able to hold Hal Jordan off and go back and forth with him only by having the one ring that he had that used to belong to Hal. I don't know if it was sheer the power of will, but that's what was happening. When Hal was telling him, he was just like, you're not going to be able to do it. You're not strong enough. And then that's when Jon Stewart tapped into the power of will. And he was like, I am the strongest and I'll be strong. And he's like, and I can defeat you. And then he ended up with his one ring. He defeated a man who was perceived, because they were also making comments throughout the whole movie about how Hal Jordan was the greatest Green Lantern of all time. And even that, I was like, that's an odd thing to say. But then Jon Stewart ended up defeating the greatest Green Lantern of all time, despite him having 17 rings. And he ended up getting all the rings off of Hal Jordan, and he put them onto himself. Now, once the rings got taken off him, I was like, okay, so now we're going to get Hal Jordan back. And he was just like, oh, I'm still going to kill you, Jon Stewart. And then that's when Ollie came out of nowhere and fired an arrow at him and shot an arrow right through the back of Hal Jordan. And when that happened, I'm like, well, you're not going to kill Hal Jordan. So I assumed the arrow that Ollie fired was going to go through his body and it was going to kill the scorpion that was inside Hal Jordan. And then Hal Jordan would just throw the scorpion up or whatever. It'd be like cosmic goo or dust. And then they'd pull the arrow out of his bag, put some bandages on him. And then Hal Jordan would be okay. Because like, you're not going to kill Hal Jordan. They fucking killed Hal Jordan. The Green Arrow put an arrow right through his back and killed Hal Jordan. And I just sat back and I was like, wow. Despite the fact that Hal Jordan was the villain of all this after being told he was the greatest Green Lantern of all time, and then for him to be killed, I was legitimately shocked and impressed. And, kudos to them for doing something different and for thinking outside the box. And I applaud thee. Because it's rare in a situation to do something like this to legitimately like surprise and shock me. And Hal Jordan being the villain and killing Hal Jordan, that legitimately surprised me. And I was like, I don't know what to say about that. So I give, respect to, the writers of this particular project that made that, that conscious decision. Now, the weird thing is, so once everything was over and done with, we found out that Sinestro manipulated both sides, to go at war. Peace was restored, I guess. And then Hawk Girl, she brought everybody back to Earth. And then she was like, I'm going to go try to like rejoin the fight and pull my Thanagarian people out of the fire. And then, like she dipped, and I guess they'll call on her whenever they need her again. We didn't see her face, but it was still nice to see her. And then Ali was talking to Jon Stewart, and he was just like, well, you're the only Green Lantern that exists now. So he was like, so what you gonna do? And then he took all the rings that he had taken from Sinestro, all the Green Lantern rings, and he sent them off into the universe so they can find new hosts, find new homes. Because I guess Jon Stewart's gonna be the person to rebuild the Green Lantern Corps. And I'm like, I need a series about this immediately. I need another animated movie about John Lantern restoring the Green Lantern Corps, because I want to see who these rings are going to choose as like the new members. Like, is he going to rebuild Oa? Because he does have the history of the Green Lantern Corps in his ring, because we established that the ring can actually tell him the history. But Jon Stewart rebuilding the Green Lantern Corps is some dope ass shit. I mean, I'm at the point now. I'm like, well, to hell with Hal Jordan. But we'll see. We'll see, and beware his power, because I guess Jon Stewart's only been a Green Lantern for barely a week, and he's already running the Green Lantern Corps. That's some dope ass shit. And thank you for tuning in. This is a good movie. Like, it was a good series. It was a good movie. It came out of nowhere, and it was definitely worth the wait. It was definitely enjoyable. And I give credit to everybody involved. And I hope this isn't the end of it. Like, I hope we get a follow-up to this, and I want to see where things go from here. I mean, we done killed Sinestro. We done killed Hal Jordan. We killed the Green Lantern Corps. So there got to be something out there left to do. But again, the story of him rebuilding the Green Lantern Corps, that's dope. And I want to see Hawk Girl to come back as well, because they even tease a little, like, eye-to-eye contact between Hawk Girl and Jon Stewart. So I definitely want to see that blossom, and where Vixen comes in, in the whole thing, because she'd probably be hating. So share your questions, comments, and or concerns down below. What do you think about this movie if you saw it? Based on my review, if you didn't see it, are you going to see it now? Like I said, let me know what you think about Jon Stewart, Green Lantern, taking over as the Green Lantern, taking over as the head of the Green Lantern Corps, where we go from here. And do you want this particular series of DC movies to continue as we progress forward? So when the Super Sons comes out, I'll do a review for Super Sons. Like I said, we're still doing reviews for Stargirl on my channel. We got Titans coming pretty soon. So hit the notification bell so you get notified when other videos pop up, and we'll continue to roll, because like I said, I'm excited for Titans. I'm looking out for Titans. Go on HBO Max and watch this Green Lantern movie, because it was actually the shit. So until next time, guys, for some more DC superhero action, take care as always. Beware of my power in brightest day and in darkest night. We'll be back, and I'm out this bitch.